God's way of bringing two lives together is rarely rushed, loud, or accidental. It is intentional, precise, and deeply purposeful. Many people search desperately for connection, believing that love is found through effort alone. But God introduces soulmates through alignment, not anxiety. Before God introduces you to the right person, He works on the right foundation. He begins within you. He shapes character, heals wounds, and strengthens identity. This season of preparation often feels like waiting, but it is actually protection. God knows that love built on brokenness cannot last. He prepares hearts before He connects lives. God often introduces soulmates when you are focused on purpose, not pursuit. When your attention is on growth, service, and obedience, alignment quietly happens. You may think you found someone by chance, but divine timing was already at work. God does not interrupt purpose with distraction. He enhances purpose through partnership. Many divine connections begin in ordinary moments, not dramatic entrances or perfect settings, but natural environments where authenticity thrives. God values sincerity over impression. He allows people to meet when masks are unnecessary and hearts are open. In these moments, connection feels effortless because it is guided, not forced. God also uses peace as confirmation. When a relationship is divinely aligned, it brings calm rather than confusion. It strengthens faith instead of weakening it. It encourages growth rather than compromise. God does not use chaos to confirm His will. His introductions bring clarity, not constant anxiety. Timing is essential. God introduces soulmates when both hearts are ready, not perfect, but receptive. Readiness is not about having everything figured out. It is about being teachable, humble, and willing to grow. God protects people from premature connections that would have harmed their future. Sometimes God delays introductions to remove distractions. Certain relationships must end so better ones can begin. These endings are painful, but they are purposeful. God never removes something without intending to replace it with something aligned. Trust grows when past disappointment no longer defines expectation. God often introduces soulmates through shared values rather than surface attraction. Physical connection may initiate interest, but spiritual alignment sustains commitment. When two people share reverence for God, integrity, and purpose, their connection deepens beyond emotion. Prayer plays a powerful role. Not prayers demanding a specific person, but prayers surrendering timing and desire. When prayer shifts from control to trust, God is given space to work. God responds to surrendered hearts more than anxious requests. God also confirms through consistency. A divinely guided relationship does not rely on emotional highs alone. It remains steady through challenges. Communication strengthens rather than fractures. Respect remains present even during disagreement. These signs reflect God's order. Ultimately, God introduces soulmates to reflect partnership, not dependency. A soulmate complements your calling rather than replaces your identity. Love becomes support, not survival. God's design is not two halves completing each other, but two whole individuals walking together. When God introduces you to your soulmate, you will recognize alignment over attraction, peace over pressure, and purpose over pursuit. And when it happens, you will understand that waiting was not wasted. It was preparation for something sacred. God's way of introducing two people who belong together is rarely rushed or dramatic. It begins long before the meeting ever happens, in seasons of preparation that often feel unrelated to love. Many people believe the right person appears suddenly, but in truth, God works quietly, shaping hearts, correcting patterns, and aligning purpose first. Before he connects two lives, he develops each life individually. This preparation is not punishment, it is protection. It ensures that when two people finally meet, they are able to recognize value rather than merely attraction. Often, the first work God does is internal. He exposes wounds that were ignored, habits that would damage future relationships, and expectations that were unrealistic or unhealthy. Loneliness can become a classroom during this time. It reveals what a person is seeking: companionship, validation, healing, or purpose. God allows this clarity not to frustrate, but to refine desire. When the heart understands what it truly needs, it becomes less likely to settle for what merely feels good. God also separates before he connects. Certain relationships fade, friendships change, and familiar dynamics no longer fit. This separation can feel confusing or painful, but it is necessary. Old attachments, emotional dependencies, and repeated patterns must be broken before a new connection can thrive. God removes distractions so attention can return to growth. What seems like isolation is often alignment. During preparation, character becomes more important than chemistry. God focuses on integrity, patience, humility, and emotional maturity. These qualities cannot be rushed. They develop through everyday choices, through learning how to love without possessing, and how to stand firm without becoming rigid. The heart learns how to give without losing itself, and how to receive without fear. This balance is essential for a lasting relationship. Another part of preparation is learning contentment. God teaches satisfaction with where you are before blessing you with what is next. Contentment does not mean the desire disappears. It means the desire no longer controls you. When someone is content, they stop forcing connections and stop ignoring red flags. They trust timing rather than chasing outcomes. This trust becomes a signal of readiness. God's way of introducing two people is rarely rushed, dramatic, or forced. It is intentional, gradual, and deeply rooted in preparation. Before God connects two lives, he often works separately in each heart. This preparation is not punishment or delay, it is alignment. Without it, even the right connection can become the wrong experience. Many people desire companionship without understanding readiness. They pray for connection while avoiding growth. But God values wholeness over urgency. He understands that two unprepared hearts can meet at the right time and still create pain. Preparation protects purpose. It shapes character so that love becomes a place of growth, not confusion. Alignment begins internally. God works on healing wounds that were never addressed, correcting patterns that repeat unhealthy outcomes, and strengthening identity. When insecurity governs the heart, relationships become places of validation rather than partnership. God prepares by shifting identity from need to completeness. A prepared heart does not search for someone to fill emptiness. It offers presence from fullness. This season of preparation often feels lonely. It can feel like being overlooked or forgotten. But loneliness is not always absence. Sometimes it is focus. God removes distractions so clarity can develop. During this time, priorities realign, values become clearer, standards become stronger. The heart learns discernment rather than desperation. God also prepares through discipline. He teaches patience, self-control, and wisdom. These qualities are essential for lasting connection. Passion alone cannot sustain relationship. Emotion fluctuates, but character stabilizes. Preparation builds the capacity to love consistently, not just intensely. Alignment includes timing. God's timing is not arbitrary. It is coordinated. Two people may be right for each other, but not ready at the same time. One may be growing while the other is still healing. Forcing connection before both are ready can disrupt progress. God waits until both journeys reach a point of mutual readiness. Preparation also involves purpose. God does not introduce soulmates to distract from calling, but to support it. When purpose is unclear, relationships can become substitutes for direction. God prepares individuals to understand their calling so that partnership enhances mission rather than replaces it. When two people align in purpose, connection gains depth. God's way of introducing people to one another is deeply intentional and rarely rushed. When it comes to something as sacred as a soulmate connection, God focuses less on timing and more on readiness. The third key truth is that God prepares both hearts before He brings them together, because connection without preparation creates confusion instead of purpose. Many people ask God for the right person while resisting the work God wants to do within them. But God is far more concerned with who you are becoming than with who you are meeting. A soulmate is not a reward for impatience. It is a responsibility that requires maturity, healing, and alignment. God understands that love without preparation can turn into dependency, fear, or control. That is why He often works quietly in seasons of waiting. Preparation often looks like delay. It can feel frustrating, lonely, and confusing. You may wonder why relationships keep failing or why opportunities never seem to last. But God is not withholding love. He is refining character. He prepares hearts by exposing patterns, healing wounds, and teaching discernment. What feels like isolation is often protection from connections that would harm rather than help. God prepares the heart by teaching self-worth. Before introducing someone else to love you deeply, He teaches you how to value yourself correctly. When identity is rooted in God, relationships become additions, not replacements. Without this foundation, even the right person can become an idol, and love becomes a source of anxiety rather than peace. Healing is a major part of preparation. Past wounds, betrayals, and disappointments do not disappear simply because someone new arrives. God addresses these areas first because unresolved pain distorts perception. Without healing, people often choose familiarity over health, mistaking intensity for connection. God's preparation removes emotional blind spots so that recognition becomes clear when the right person appears. Preparation also involves alignment of values and purpose. God does not unite people merely because they are compatible emotionally. He aligns direction, calling, and spiritual priorities. This alignment cannot be rushed. God works. God's way of bringing two lives together is never rushed, random, or forced. It is intentional, timed, and rooted in purpose. He works first within the heart before aligning paths, because lasting connection begins with spiritual readiness, not emotional urgency. When God introduces you to your soulmate, it is marked by peace rather than pressure, clarity rather than confusion, and growth rather than compromise. The relationship does not pull you away from who you are becoming. It confirms it. Trust that preparation is part of the promise, and waiting is part of the wisdom. What God designs, He sustains. And when the time is right, the introduction will not need explanation. It will feel like alignment, purpose, and grace meeting at the same moment.